Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Transformation Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I don't know about you guys. I know everybody is getting ready to wrap up the year. We have people who are on their last week of school as we're speaking, like myself. With students, I still have a whole week of professional post planning and all of that good stuff. And I know people that are not finishing until June, first week of June, second week of June. So I just, want to tell you that in any way that I can support you this next couple of weeks, I am in for it. Hola, Rebecca. Good to see you. Please let us know if you're tuning in. Say hello, just like Rebecca just said, so that we know that who is watching and where are people connecting from tonight. So I know many people wanted to watch this, and they asked me if it was going to be recorded. As always, all the Facebook videos stay recorded inside this community. Well, tonight I am here with my friend Marta, and I am so glad to have her here. We're going to be talking about her podcast, her new podcast called Cuéntame for Spanish teachers and Spanish language learners. Actually, the podcast is for Spanish language learners. That it's a resource that teachers can use. And I am super excited to discuss her podcast. But Marta, before we talk about your podcast, can you tell us a little bit about where you teach, what type of students, like levels do you teach,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that good stuff, so that people can get to know you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm Marta Ruiz Yedinak, and I live in Wisconsin. It's my 21st year living here, and I've been teaching for 17 years here in Wisconsin. Right now, it's my 7th year in Ripon, Wisconsin, and I teach levels 9 through 12 at this point. I used to teach 8th grade as well, but it's basically high school. Yeah.
And well, I absolutely love teaching high school. That's my favorite age group.
Oh, yeah.
I started with middle school, and I can do it, but it's not it's not what drives me. So high school it is. I totally I'm happy that we share that. And well, tonight let's talk a little bit about how Cuéntame came to be, Marta. What made you create Cuéntame? Because we know that it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna create a podcast and show up whenever I want to. It's I'm gonna create a podcast, and we know that to be successful in anything, blogging, podcasting, whatever, we have to be consistent. Um, and you have exemplified that from the moment you launched your podcast. So it's helped so many teachers already, even though the podcast is super new. It's I can tell you this, it's helped hundreds of teachers already, and I'm just, I'm here for it. I'm so happy to see it grow, and that's why we're talking about it. Because guys, if you teach Spanish, you want to tell your friends about Marta's podcast, and you want to tell your friends about the resources we're going to be talking about tonight. And I know it's the end of the year, and you're probably like, oh, I can barely hang on. But you know what, this you can use Marta's podcast for these last weeks of school and the episodes, and they will save you time. So you want to be here for it, because if you have not used her podcast, this will help you get through the last days of school and probably generate some more ideas for next year. So Marta, tell us why you created this podcast, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Well, I never thought about doing it before. I had no idea I was gonna do a podcast. Never in my plans. It just started as a learner myself. I'm learning French. I've been studying French for about a year, and then as I was climbing in the levels of proficiency, I just wanted to ramp it up. And besides videos, well, I wanted to do something else, and just to work on my listening skills, because it's a totally different beast when you don't see the person, right? I mean, I remember when I moved to Wisconsin, it took me probably about 2 years, no, not that much, probably a year for me to have the courage to pick up the phone. I would let it go to answering machine, because if I didn't see the person, I wouldn't understand. So I wanted to work on that. So I started looking for podcasts, and there was a lot of them. that are very much grammar based, and is like English telling you how the language works, and I want to acquire it. I don't want to learn about the mechanics. So I found this one in French that is not quite comprehensible input because he does not use any translation at all, but they're very short episodes, very simple, everyday uh, type of topics that are relevant, things that matter, things that have to do with anybody's lives. And they're very short, which is great because, your brain works really hard when you are trying to decode a totally new language. So I really liked it, but it was later on when I thought, well, I want this for my students because I did feel how I was improving so much. I listened more than once because the first few times, I still had a few things that I didn't understand. So then I listened to it again, and then I catch something else. And that gave me back that feeling that we all had when we started learning a new language, right? It's like, oh, yeah, I can do this. So get me pumped about it. And so I wanted to create that for my students. And I wasn't sure if I could commit because it's like, what if I actually don't, if I run out of ideas, what am I going to do? And then it occurred to me that I could also at some point tell stories, right? And then I'm never going to run out of stories. So I can tell legends, I can tell sort of things. And then is when I decided to launch it, basically for my students to have the same resource that I did, because there's nothing there. And in any other language, so if you know, French teachers, German teachers, any other teacher, you may want to consider that because there's nothing that is really comprehensible input out there. That's why I had to pop some English translations here and then, because it's an audio. I cannot point at translations. I cannot use gestures. So in order to achieve that, then I had to use a little bit of English. But basically just creating it for my students. And now I'm just thrilled to see how many people are using it. And I've had so many great feedback and people telling me all these things that make me so happy to know that there's teachers out there that can use it and they're feeling that is helping. So that's
absolutely. I am thrilled about it. So let's go ahead and tell the community members and the people who are going to be catching this replay. Marta does provide with the podcast. Well, first, let's tell you where to find the podcast. Go to Google and search Cuéntame Spanish Language Podcast. And you want to make sure you select the option that's going to pop up. All of those are going to be Marta's podcast. So if you go to Google and search Spanish, Cuéntame Spanish Language Podcast, you're going to have all of the results. They're all going to lead you to Marta's podcast. But the podcast is actually based on anchor.fm. And you want to make sure you click on that one, because in there you can find the show notes. And in the show notes, Marta gives you the transcript, which is a paragraph or so of what she is saying during the podcast. So you don't have to build it from scratch like I did the first time I listened to your podcast.
I hadn't shared the transcript. Yeah.
But I'm so glad when she actually, I didn't even mention it to her until later. She said, "Oh, I'm going to be providing the transcript." And I was like, well, I am so grateful for that. So if you search the podcast, that's how you find the podcast. Go to Google, Cuéntame Spanish Language Podcast, and you'll be able to have access to all her 9 episodes. She started not too long ago. I want to say maybe 2 months ago, Marta, or so.
Well, it is twice a week. So tomorrow would be the 10th. So it's 5 weeks ago that started. Yeah.
So and there are already 10 episodes in there of amazing input for your students. And the other thing that I love about Marta's podcast that she mentioned, well, there's so many things I love about them. Number one, that they are short. They are so short. I think the longest one I've seen is about 6 minutes long, but most of them are like 4, 5, 6 minutes. And our students need repetition. So they're short. Our students can access them and they can play and replay as needed, or as many times you want to replay it for them. So that's another one. They're all about cultural topics, and I really appreciate that so much. Like, I love stories too, and I will be all up for the stories when you have the stories available. But for me, it's like if I choose between stories and like cultural content, like straight cultural content, I will always choose the cultural content. But stories are super valuable too, and our students absolutely love stories as well. So
Mhm.
uh, most definitely, you want to check out what she has already created. She has an episode on. You have one on mental health, right? You have one
Stress.
about, huh?
Stress, yes.
Stress, yeah, well, stress part of the mental health, I remember. And then
Mhm.
you have one on Cinco de Mayo, and you have one about Dia de las
Children's
Madres.
Day. Hmm.
She stays, Marta, you stay super current with the calendar, which I love because I also integrate a lot of calendar events into my
Hmm.
everyday teaching. So it's nice to find content that I don't have to create, and then I
Hmm.
tweak it and make activities. What can you tell us, Marta? Where can people connect to get access to the transcripts other than the actual podcast link, and
Yeah,
also access to
sure.
like collaborative activities because people are collaborating. You already have worked on something.
Yeah, sure. But first of all, I don't know if it happens with all the other platforms, but I have it in Spotify. And actually, in the description of the episode, when you read the description, there should be also the link to the transcript.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be an Anchor. I don't know the other platforms, even Google Podcasts because it's already available, I think, in 6 or 7 platforms. But at least in that other one, it is in Spotify, you can access the link there too. But yeah, no, I actually had to create, I was resisting the idea of creating a group because there's just so much out there, and there's so many different Facebook groups and pages that are great places to collaborate already. And I just didn't want to add another one because it's like people are gonna just roll their eyes and yeah, another one. But
No, because you know why? Because we were language teachers. I think we are teacher Facebook group hoarders. So
yes, well, and the thing is that I just don't want to. I guess I'm glad that everybody, that at least people that I've heard are enjoying it. But at some point, I'm like, oh, gosh, I don't want them to another posting. And if they're coming twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, so that would be like 2 postings a week. Like, hey, this is a new episode, and like, if I just can streamline it, and then now you know that you just can go to this page, and I don't have to be announcing every episode twice a week. Maybe I'll still do it for some like remarkable episodes, just to, hey, this is one coming, I don't know, once a month, twice a month, but not every week twice, right? So that's why I had to create that Facebook page of the same, it's a group of the same name, Cuéntame. And then also for people to collaborate, because I've had so many teachers like you. I mean, you sent me right away the handout, the worksheet that with the close activity that you made on the Cinco de Mayo. How great that we can do that. Like if you already created something, it's there, and maybe I created something, and we both can build a nice unit together. So it's a place for people to, like a central station of that. Plus, I can also post ahead of time the episodes, because you can access them, like you said, in the link of the description, but that doesn't come until the very day that it comes out. So if you want to have a peek, and maybe it aligns with the unit that you're teaching next time or whatever, you need to listen to it first, or at least read it first. What is it going to be about? And you can use it. So all of those are there. uh,
you
and
also have what did you call it? What's coming next? You have the sequence, right?
Yeah, I actually do. Like when I finish one episode, I immediately post it there. Like, this is a transcript for the next episode for this date. So you have them all if you scroll down in the group, but also in documents, because that's why it had to be a group and not a page. Because in the group you have the files tab where you can save there all these documents. So there is a document called Programación, and it's just a table with the date and the name of the episode, and the name of the episode is a live link to the transcript. So you don't have to scroll down not to see what was the first episode and next, and then you can just go to that, and then you see like the menu, and then just clicking what you want. All that in that little page. I'm uploading them there immediately for you to see.
That's awesome. And I know that you
Mhm.
mentioned mentioned that. What's coming next? What's coming in the next 2 weeks, in the next couple of weeks?
Yes, tomorrow is going to be the first of two parts for quinceañeras. So tomorrow is going to be about the history and all the, how is it that we started having celebrations for quinceañeras. And then the next one on Monday would be the part two. That is not the history, but now it's about the things that happen in the celebration, the symbolism of each ritual, the shoe thing and all these other things. So that's gonna be. And then on Thursday is actually a request from a teacher that was so kind to contact me, asking me to create one about natural disasters and accidents, because she's working on a unit like that. Hey, yeah, I mean, here in Wisconsin, we're already starting to do the drills for tornadoes and things like that, right? So yeah, that's a great thing. And that is yet another important thing for me to have created that Facebook group, because then if you have an idea, if you want to have an episode, don't feel that, oh, I can ask her because, why should I? No, yes, please give me ideas, because I'm sure that it's going to be something valuable too for me, right? So yeah. So those are going to be the next two.
So you heard it, my favorite people from Transformation Through Acquisition Driven Instruction Facebook community. Marta is number one, inviting you to her Facebook community called Cuéntame. Also, she's inviting you to give her your ideas of what kind of content you want her to create. So, and it's free. So please help us spread the word out about this amazing podcast, because let me tell you, it is going to save you a ton of time over time in your classroom. I know for me, Marta, I've only used about 3 of the episodes, and it has saved me so much time already. And I feel awesome because I'm using comprehensible input with my students, and we're creating activities based off the episodes, and the episodes complement my lessons as well. So you can go for it and use all of her episodes, or use the ones that are related to your content, whatever works for you. You are the teacher, but it's there. And I would just go as far as to say that there's so many activities that you can create. So let's go ahead and shift to that, Marta, and let's talk about the activities that you can use with your students. Marta was sharing with me earlier about her activities, and what I noticed is that she kind of has the same idea as me: work smarter, not harder. So Marta, can you tell us about the activities that people can find inside your Cuéntame Facebook community? And what do you do? Because you use this podcast, you use your own podcast with your students, and so tell us about how has that been, and what kind of activities you've actually done with your students that you can share with our community.
Yeah, sure. Well, I have created a couple of different templates. And one of the very first one that I did was just, and they're already in the Facebook group as well for you to access if you want it. It has 3 parts. Like I realized after showing the kids the very first time, I just hit play and then here you listen and tell me what it is about. And then they were very nervous, and they were like, no, we need to listen to it again. So what I did was I gave them 3 steps. They listened to it once, just listen without doing anything. Then they listen a second time, and then they write new words that they're catching. And then the third time, jotting down ideas that they may need for their summary. That would be the last part. So in the last part, the first time I just told them as well to write the summary in Spanish. And then I realized that no, why? What I'm assessing is listening. So then it's okay to actually have them write the summary in English. Then I have a more accurate idea of what is it that they could understand. And then the second one I did was actually stolen from you, because you were so kind to share with me your close activity at the Cinco de Mayo. And that was the first time that I used it because the other one was just listen and jot down your ideas. Well, this one, they loved it because it was still challenging. They need to be actively listening super close to fill out the close activity, and they loved it. And then I still did the, new words that you caught and these other things, and then write a sentence with the new words. Like this last one that I did was named a reality of the immigrant, like one of the realities of an immigrant. I think, am I losing you?
No, I'm still here.
No, you're there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is going like.
No, you're good. You're good.
I don't know if you're still there. You are? Okay.
Yes, I can still
And
hear
then
you.
in that one, talk about how much we miss country and things of our countries, but then when we're there, we miss things here. And that was one of the targets. It was the word extraño, right? So then it was repeated enough in context, and then kids now know how to say that they miss something or somebody. So,
and it's, I think it's just wonderful to be able to have all of those activities. And what I was sharing also is that you don't have to create activities for this, because, like, for example, the close activity is something that requires just a little bit of prep, maybe 15 minutes of my time to put together. Not too bad, but you can do a lot of other activities with Marta's podcast, and I have some ideas that I want to share with you that are like zero prep. Let the students do the work. The way I see it, any time, any day in the classroom, when I plan something, my first thing is like, how can I delegate a lot of these to students that is going to increase their acquisition, and it's going to make their learning experience better? What can I delegate to them? Because when they're working more actively, they are going to be more engaged with the content, and they're going to acquire even more, because it is comprehensible language that you are using on your podcast. So I want to share, because I actually can share here. I can actually share my screen. I want to share my screen, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek. If you are already in my mailing list, you have seen these activities because I share them with you guys. So I'm going to go over here to the activity that I created for Cinco de Mayo. So in Go Formative, I listened to Marta's podcast, which are very short, as we talked about. And then I created a Quizlet deck of the words in case my students wanted to just kind of like browse them before actually listening to the podcast. And then in here, I had them play it, and then they had to listen to it and select the right response. Now you might think like, oh, that is so easy. It is simple, but actually, if you look at the words, it could be any word. So they have to listen to it because all the words kind of match and could make sense. But we know that once they listen to it, it's going to match a specific thing. Now, my students do not know. Now we have amazingly smart students. My students do not know that the transcript is actually available on the website. So, but that is what I love about Go Formative, is that they can just click here and they can hear, you can embed the podcast here so they can listen to it, and they are able to just go through it and answer the questions. And then I have some true or false questions, and then I have some open-ended questions. And some of the questions are reflective questions. If the podcast, if I can ask a reflective question. You can also do this on paper. This is actually the activity that Marta was talking about. This is from her transcript. So I use her transcript, and because she gives it to you in a Word doc, and you can like just make a copy and edit it. And it's pretty much the same activity, but on paper form. So that's just an idea of something that you can do with the podcast. And also, there are other things you can do, such as I was telling Marta, with that same transcript, you can break it down in like 5 different paragraphs, and you can ask students to read it and create hashtag reactions or hashtags about the that describe the paragraph. So that shows you that the students are understanding and following the main idea. And yes, so we have someone who said the kids enjoy the Cinco de Mayo activity and go for it. My students have told me, because I made a closed activity for El Día de la Tierra and also for Cinco de Mayo, very similar activities. And my students were like, oh my God, we love these activities. We can understand the podcast. And sometimes we need to listen to it twice, but it's short, it's easy. I feel like I'm following. I feel like I understand. So they're feeling successful. And we talked about the importance of making sure that our students are feeling successful, that they can achieve and that they can understand. Something else that you can have your students do that is no prep, zero prep. You can ask your students to come up with 10 true or false statements about the podcast. And then you can collect them, and then you can make a quiz out of it. Or you can ask your students to come up with 2 or 3 questions. This is a strategy I've shared with you, and you can apply it to any reading or any listening. Have them listen to Cuéntame, and then have them create a true or false question, a multiple choice question, and an open-ended question with an answer key. Have them give you those 3 questions, collect those, and then make a blue kit or quizzes or Quizlet or not Quizlet, Kahoot or whatever it is you play, game kit. And then you create your own base, but you're not doing the heavy work. They're doing the heavy thinking. And all you have to do is correct their, when you type it, just make sure that you type it correctly so that when your students are playing with those questions, they are reading and rereading and they're getting proper input through that. So that's another activity that I suggest to do with the podcast as well. You can do have them also maybe give you a summary of it. Marta was talking about, the summaries can be done in English. If you have novice or like even intermediate low students, you can have them do a whole summary in English in Flipgrid. All you have to do is create a prompt and like, go listen to this and then tell me what it means if you want to. That would mean that you will be spending several minutes looking through Flipgrids. So maybe there will be a little bit time consuming afterwards. So it's up to you, but that's another idea. But there are so many activities that are that would lead to the students acquire more language through the repetition of this target phrases that Marta integrates in Cuéntame, and that you can try that are little to no prep to you. And that's why I love about it. So I just want to invite you to join Marta's Facebook community and make sure you check it out, browse through it, be active on it. Same for this community. If you are not active in the community, if you don't post or you don't interact, then when you come to Facebook, Facebook doesn't give you the updates for that specific community. So that's why it's important that, you comment here and there so that, when you join Facebook, you get the updates for the communities that you are part of. So Marta, we are so grateful for your time today. And I look forward to listening to more episodes. And I am just, like I said, super grateful because this podcast is free. It's for teachers. It's something else that it's going to be a time saver for us. You have created a community that's going to provide more activities from the collaboration of teachers. And I think that's amazing. I absolutely love to see us support each other. And everybody who's made it to the video this far, I already said this earlier, but I'm going to repeat it again. Join Marta's Facebook community, Cuéntame. And most importantly, her podcast is golden. So please help us spread the word. Share it with your department. Share it with your district. If you got connections, share it with your important connections, because we want to get this podcast to the hands of every language learner and every Spanish teacher who can use it in their class. So Marta, do you have any last words or anything else you want to tell our people who are have tuned in with us tonight? We have people saying that Rebecca saying she's very excited to start using it. And then we have, I think, I don't know who this was, and I can't see it in here. Oh, yeah, that's Esther who said, thank you for creating this podcast. She's so excited. So, yes, I know we are totally here for it. So anything else that we should know about or that you want to share?
Yeah, I guess, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you all that are saying all those kind of things. I just want to tell you that I am considering, because I have had at least 12 people reaching out to me in private messages saying, hey, how can I get you a coffee? Or do you have this, like the, some other podcasts that have the
I mean, a coffee.
Patreon, whatever. And I want to do that. I kind of send you something. And I don't, because it feels like, gosh, we teachers spend so much money of our own in our classes and getting materials and things like that. So, but at the same time, I see that people are feeling guilty about it. Like, no, but it's so much work and I really want to, whatever. So I am exploring the idea to open it for sponsors, though, not for teachers, but in the platform that I can click on inviting sponsors, and then there's businesses that would pay me for including something in the episode. So I am thinking about doing that. I rather take money from businesses than from teachers, if that makes sense. So I'm thinking of maybe exploring that idea of having, like this is brought to you by whatever. And I don't know, I may not even feel comfortable, because the thing is that I can't choose. I will be able to choose who I'm going to work with, who am I going to let or advertise for. So I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, but I may give it a shot, because I can't believe how many people have reached out to me, like almost like feeling guilty. I'm like, no,
It's
I
because
don't want
it's because your content is so valuable and we appreciate it, and you should not feel bad about it, because
right.
how do you feel when you buy a product from a teacher that you follow? Do you feel guilty?
Exactly. And
No,
they
you
gave us so much time, right? I get
you
it.
should
They
not feel
gave us
guilty.
a lot of time.
And
I know, and I have so many teachers that are so creative that have things like that, and I know how much time and talent it takes. I mean, I wish I could make the things that you make or that Diego Ojeda can make. It's just crazy. So yeah, absolutely. But this one is a sit
we are,
there and talk for 5 minutes.
oh my God, but no.
So that's why I'm saying, and I totally get it, and it's great. I am finding it very valuable in my classroom.
All right, teacher. So you find Marta's email, and you can just send her a gift card. Okay, since she won't take any money, you can send her an Amazon gift card. Or she's not telling you to do that, but I'm telling you to do that, because if you're grateful for her podcast, definitely show her your love and support. Um, no, Marta, most definitely. Like, I understand what you're saying, but you it's not just 5 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
I know it's not 5 minutes.
Do that.
You know that it takes time to record it. You probably have to record it more than once sometimes. It takes time to go publish your post in different places so that people can find your product. So you are so deserving, and your the thought process, making it comprehensible. I mean, definitely, it's work of its own. It's not just 5 minutes. But uh, I'm just gonna say this: if you do the sponsors, that's awesome. I would suggest some teachers have something called Buy Me Coffee, and you can just take donations if you want. Because people want to help you and people want to
I
support
just wanted to announce it, because I don't know how you got.
I think we're losing the sound again. Let's see. Hello.
I know. I can't hear you either, Priwa.
Okay, we are good. We're good. But thank you so much, Marta, once again for being here with us. And definitely make sure you connect with her Cuéntame Facebook community. And we look forward to seeing you at to listening to your podcast episodes. And then my friends here at Transformation Through Acquisition Driven Instruction community, you're in for a treat next week, because next week we are going to talk about organizing our files. I don't know if your Google Slide or Google Drive, or whatever else you use looks like a mess right now. Mine does. I learned to live with it, and I'm ashamed to say that, but my friend Lisa McCart is going to be here to talk to us about how to organize our files, because honestly, having things a mess really weighs on us. And I just want to let go of that. So I'm looking forward to that chat next week. if you are up for it, if you're still feeling energized, join us next week. We're gonna be here on Wednesday, so make sure you join us because I am ready for it. I want to clean up my files, and I hope you clean them up with me. So until
Yes.
next time, thank you so much, Marta. We'll see
Thank
you.
you for having me.
Take care.
Bye.